out and stretch a little bit after that. I look at the stats and I see the total yards, and then I see the penalties, and we're probably going to talk a little bit more about that. But to be on the wrong side of both of those things, and then still come out with the win, to me just speaks to just how tight this team is, how much they fight for each other, how much they believe in one another. Just the culture of the team. I think this was, I think, Tuesday this week, just meeting with the leadership group, and they had mentioned this was a culture game and how important it was for us to play as a team. And so I think in a way that it's not specifically illustrated in a stat report, I think it was a team win, just with guys gritting stuff out and guys not allowing, stuff to happen, fighting things. And so way cool to be on that side of it. It's stuff that I always kind of felt, but then when you kind of are out there and you're seeing it kind of come to life, and you can become what you've really fought to become is way cool. So with that, take any questions you guys got.
Dave, having a weapon like trust in returning kicks, that's pretty invaluable.
Yeah, we talked about special teams being a big factor in this game, and so we'll go through about 7 things every game, in particular about, hey, these are keys to the game, 7 things and that. And when the kicking game was a major one in this one, and I think some of it stemmed from last year's game and lessons learned and feelings and all that after that. And the other part was just, just the not knowing it was going to be something like what we just went through, but knowing it was going to be a tight game, and knowing that teams are built in a similar fashion with a similar culture and all of it, that I just liked our athletes in space versus their athletes in space, and special teams presented an opportunity for us to highlight that. And so the return game, we wanted to show our ability to be electric, and I'm glad that Ed was able to follow through with that for us.
Dave, how much of a believer do you put into hidden yardage? What Isaac Power did, Rauschenberg, what he did, and then Trustin's return yards, just like a 300-yard difference.
Yeah, we talk about that. That's when the kicking game is, when the hidden yardage matchup, and so that's a main emphasis for us. And so it's just, Isaac doing what he's doing, and then, Thor's being clean with all the stuff that he's doing, and then, getting kicks now, and doesn't matter where we're kicking from, we feel like we can get 3 points when we need them. And so I think just the confidence in that specialist group has really risen to a really cool level. And they're great guys anyways, but I think just when they're fully confident about what they're doing, it adds a little bit of pep to them. But then, I think just from as far as like a team aspect of it, just the special teams and the buy-in, and hey, this is not something that I have to do. This is something I want to do. This is something I want to give to the team, right? As opposed to, hey, these responsibilities from an offense, defensive player standpoint are taking away from my time, right? I'm looking at it as now I'm giving to the team by being on these things. I think this kind of slams the door shut on that. So it's good for us.
Dave, do you have any update on Bernard?
We're going to find out more on Monday. I think we're fearful of maybe a tear, meniscus. We're going to have to see.
Dave, you mentioned the second half kind of felt like 2 games in one. What's just your biggest takeaway from this game in terms of what you learned about your team?
Grit, perseverance. I think there's countless times where just inside, I'm just going crazy, man, and it's just the penalties and just all of it. I mean, we make quite a bit a stir about it, and we have refs at our practices. We show highlights or lowlights of Saturday games and Sunday games of here's how this penalty affected the outcome of this game, and just all of it. And then just being cut from a cloth to where like little things are important things, and there's no such thing as an unimportant little thing, and take care of your business and all of it, to where getting a team that maybe wants to kind of color in broad strokes and maybe outside the lines. And so it's just, that's not how we're going to go about it, right? And so to get it to where it's tight and there's still personality on their end, but there's an identification of team first and accountability on our end, that has been from the beginning kind of the path, And so we have to improve on that part of it. I think this game I think helps push that, but I look at just Gary Bohannon's a great example, and Gary's just confidence, and Gary's the way he carries himself, and the way he's encouraging other people, and the way that he's always looking to help other people, even in all of it, right? When the offense was off the field and it was special teams and defense at the very end, he's right in there helping guys, right, and giving encouragement to guys. And so I think, to see your team in that light and to see those connections kind of come through, right, is way neat.
On Monday, you talked about trying to narrow it down for Matt Jones to 2 positions, and then he goes
Yeah.
at will.
Yeah, so there was some times that we were going in there, or he was in there, and this was right after the injury to Terrell. Terrell kept trying to come back in, and then kept re-injuring it, and we'd go and get him checked out, and I think that happened. I think that happened one time, in and out, and then the second time we shut him down. And so within that, Matt's trying to figure out, am I playing outside, am I playing inside? And then after that, it was like, hey, these calls, remember it's this, remember it's that, and he wasn't really getting a bunch of reps at those things. And so that's what's great about college football, is there's just part of that, and his the calm that it takes to get that instruction on the sideline, and really the understanding of all of it. And then I think for him too is to be able to have some really good recall and get on the board and draw through, hey, this is what we're seeing, I think was a big factor in the game, because there was into the game some stops that he was a part of things that we were covering earlier in the game.
For the team to beat a top 15 team, first time to beat a top 25 team since 2015, this program, Terrell said that the squad wasn't shocked. Mm-hmm. What did you see out of the reaction in the postgame in the locker room?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the guys, they're a confident bunch. I think there's a good, healthy amount of ego there, and I think there's a good amount of love for their brother, And so I think, the thought with the team would be, whatever's in front of us, we're going to try to knock it down, and let's go, And so you appreciate that. I think for us to be able to take that next step from this is to be able to do little things with really strong discipline, right? And I think that is going to be the threshold of whether we, or when we take the next step, it's going to be winning that penalty and that turnover battle. So
for you personally as a head coach too,
mm-hmm.
What significance does this win have?
Yeah, I don't know if it has one. I know I'm happy for our coaches. I'm happy for Jeff and for Ron. I'm happy for Eric, Mateos. I'm happy for all of our guys, man. You could see the joy on their faces. There was a play on the sidelines, and it was, I think we were kind of getting down to it, and Ron defense, and Ron called a strong safety star blitz from the field. We're going to roll the cover 2. And so Garmin has to buzz the flat, and it's like an inverted coverage. So Randolph becomes kind of the flat defender over here. And I don't really know, to be honest, how many reps since Garmin's been back he's had of that particular call, but it got to the point, I think, where Ron's feeling like we need to make something happen. I mean, we were all there. You could feel kind of the momentum going. And so I'm standing over here, and I'm seeing Ron make the call. And then, Garmin's coach is Joey McGuire, and I look over to Joey, and Joey's freaking out. Over here, he's freaking out. And I'm just like, I close my eyes, I open them back up, and it was a pick, And so I think, when you've got a really strong team and guys are pulling and fighting for each other, things like that happen.
What did Iowa State do in the second half to kind of bog down the offense? You guys were really efficient in the first half.
Yeah, pressure. Yeah, they were able to get some run-throughs on the backside of our wide zones. And so some of those combos, right? In the first half, a lot of cutbacks in the wide zones, right? Not a lot of them that hit the perimeter, but a fair amount of them that got stretch and then wind back. I think it might have been one of the first run of the game was that, right? And so we had two guys off the ball and seal, release, and then wind it back. They started giving pressure on the backside, and that was clogging up that wind back area. So guys started bouncing it outside, and it just wasn't the openings that we wanted. And so we had to work our combos more efficiently back there. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
What are your thoughts on your offense line progress? Because that was the best defense they've gone up against.
Yeah, I thought it was a fight, man. I thought, the belief there, the sidelines. So like on all of it, I don't really feel the win right yet. I imagine I will, but it's just what I feel is everything that went into it is just how positive guys were, or even when something bad would happen, guys are going good, pound the rock, and they're using the language that we talk about, and they're all focused about uplifting people. And so when it's like that, you feel like you've already won, and so you felt that the whole time. And then for the O-line just to be the leaders really of the offense, how we see it, I mean, they were out front with that. I know Connor Galvin was that way, Zay was that way, and so they will continue to grow as leaders in that space.
On the onside kick, I'm sure you were sweating the first one. How much are you sweating the second one?
It just made sense with the way the game was going. That why don't we do it again? But I just think it just goes back to we have to be more disciplined. I did not see that particular foul, right? And so it was hard for me to make a statement on it. I just think we have to be better. I think there's when you have a win and you don't play clean, you're thankful for it. A lot to get better at.
Vast majority of y'all's passing game this year has come on boot action, deep shots off the true play action. Because of Iowa State's defense, the way they keep those corners up, the pressure they give to guys like Will McDonald, a lot of that wasn't really an option for y'all today, or at least it seemed like it. Was it a struggle for y'all to figure out how y'all wanted to throw the ball this game?
Yeah, I thought there was, it would always be protection first, and so I think move the pocket. I think the boot is a great example. I thought when Iowa State ran boot, we struggled with it on defense. And I thought when we ran boot, Iowa State really covered it well. I think it might be the best thing their defense did today was cover boot, and there was nowhere to go with the ball. And then there was somebody in Gary's face. And so trying different ways and different wrinkles, but then also trying to get that running game going where it's consistent enough to where you can get the bite, because there's some of those routes we have that are down the field are best versus certain coverages, and to get them in those coverages you have to run the ball. And so it was there was some stagnation late in the game when you wish there wasn't.
You talked about discipline. What was your message in the locker room after the penalties on the celebration after the interception on the 2-point conversion?
Yeah, so I was on the field with that one too, trying to get everyone to come off the sideline, and so I think I can appreciate a big moment like that. I imagine everyone, when that play that's in here, is feeling some type of positive emotion with that. But we just have to, being in the arena, we have to be able to handle ours to a higher level, higher standard. And so, we'll look at that, and then we've got, standards and repercussions for all that stuff. I think our ability to be consistent with how we play and just play one opponent and not play two, like I say, that's going to be a marker for us and where we go.
How much does Apu making that play? You talked about the pick, and that was a play he made, just to see him step up.
Yeah, so we were in between. There are a fair amount of media timeouts, and so in the media timeouts, it's the second half and all of it, and Apu's in there like dancing, right? Whatever music they got playing in the stadium, and he's singing, and he's trying to get other people to sing with him. So like the energy with him is way strong, and I think just like we're made for this. We're made for this, right? And so I think when people are around that, they kind of take to him. and they join in. They catch his energy, and so I'm glad we got him. I think this was one of his better games, and this was one of his better weeks of practice. I think he feels the need for improvement, and so I appreciate that about Apu. It's just the realistic view.
People kind of joke about your even keel throughout the game, and in a game like this where it's up and down, there are a lot of penalties, it's second half, it feels like 2 games in one. But then you look at your sideline and you see people like Apu with that energy and picking each other up. Have you been able to recognize that they're kind of taking on your business professional approach and not getting too high or not getting too low to know how the game's going?
That's a good question. I think somewhat. I think for me, like when we're in an event and something bad happens, I don't want to create another event, and now all of a sudden we've got a 2-front war or a 3-front war. Let's just have a 1-front war, And so I always look at it that way. And then I think if I do get all emotional, then normally I'm not very good with identifying and working on the problems that need to have a solution. And so I feel like our team knows that now. When they see me after a game, they're not going, "What's wrong?" So I appreciate that. But I think that a fair amount of them came after a game, said they're happy for me, and I just told them that I'm happy for us, man, because we've, from January to this point, to work on your culture so much to where guys are all, even though it's messy looking and it feels kind of ragged, to have guys back you up and for everyone to be kind of united and grit out a win is way cool, especially versus that team and Coach Campbell. So much respect for him. It means a lot.
Dave, what did you see on their 2-point try in terms of what you guys really want to do and how that whole play broke down from your perspective?
Yeah, so it was another really tight formation, and so we had edge pressure coming, and we had tight coverage behind it. And so for me, I was concerned about crossing routes and getting rubbed off of it. So it was a battle of how fast that can happen to how fast our edge pressure and our penetration can happen. And so we were able to come out on the right end of that particular battle.